Hello and welcome to another SCS 3D modeling live stream. My name is Mark. I'm your local vehicle production coordinator, and I'm here today with Andy again. How you doing, Andy?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how's things?
It's good. It's going.
Yeah, I heard after the last stream you figured out how to do that thing you were trying to do.
Oh yeah. As soon as the camera went off, I fixed that part in the back here. So
You fixed it already?
Yeah.
It doesn't look fixed.
Well. If you remember, that was kind of a little...
It's still kind of there.
And we're still going to get into it, but
anyways,
when the camera turns on, it's like I go back 5 years of experience. But
if you're joining us for the first time on one of these 3D modeling streams, basically what we've decided to do is make our very own SCS-designed bumper for the Kenworth W900. This is something that Stenda and I worked together to do the initial design, which you can see up in the top left over there. And Andy here is making it happen. So go out and check out the previous two streams, to see it all coming together. In this stream, today's stream, we're going to be doing some more of this beveling and some more details, right?
Yeah, we're going to be finishing up the detailing process. I don't think we have too much left. We only have this main pillar going here and maybe bend the cylinders a little bit.
Okay.
And maybe fix up some mistakes we did from last time and correct some of these kind of connections and do the lights on the side, and then we'll think about maybe we want to add some more details in the back. I was thinking, do we also maybe want to make variants of this or not? I'll leave that up to you.
We could have a couple variants.
So we'll think about it.
Yeah, we'll think about that.
First thing I want to do, though, I kind of don't like how wide this gap is here, so I'm just going to quickly fix that because it's been bugging me for a while.
Now, Andy has promised us that today he's going to go a little bit slower with his, especially with whatever keys he's pressing, so we can all see what exactly he's doing, because this guy over here is like Speedy Gonzalez.
Just mashing buttons.
Just mashing buttons.
Yeah. So I just tightened that bevel there a little more. I think that looks a little more natural now. Looks a bit more interesting.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I like that.
So where we can start for this stream is we got currently this problem here on this edge where the pillar connects to the main bumper. We have a very sharp kind of error, so we want to be correcting that. Same thing for the back. And there's several ways we can fix this, but it's really more about a creative decision how exactly we want to do it.
Okay.
So you've seen a lot of these in real life. Would you say a lot of them are connected, or this would be a separate component, because that will really help us to figure out how to solve that problem?
So typically in real life, it's all different components that are welded together. So these uprights would be a separate piece that's been cut to match the shape of the bumper and then welded on.
Okay.
Now, that said, as far as as part of the finishing process, the manufacturer will typically like grind the welds down really smooth.
Yeah, so
which I
they
think
wouldn't
is
be noticeable.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking, do we want to keep it flush with the side or kind of push it in a little?
Chat, what do you think looks better? Do you think there should be some kind of detail there from the bumper, or do you think it should be like nice and smooth and very futuristic looking?
Just as a temporary thing, but that's kind of ugly.
Yeah, and today we are using Maya as the software to do all this. You can use Blender as well. Do some of our colleagues use Blender?
Most of them use Blender for the modeling process, but in the end, we compile the meshes with the materials and everything in Maya. Basically, think of Maya as our interface into our game engine, because unlike other editors like in Unity or Unreal, we don't have a physical executable file for the engine itself. We work through definitions. So for us, Maya is kind of our interface for setting things up, which we will get to, I guess, as this series progresses. I'll explain how we set everything up, but yeah. Basically, you have the choice of using Blender for the modeling process, but the end result must be all put together in Maya. Yeah, so chat saying it should be smooth. We only get one vote for slightly pushed in.
We've got more votes for smooth. Let me check the YouTube chat real quick here. YouTube says flush.
Yeah.
And that's coming from Trevor in Florida.
Yeah.
Shout
So
out to
there's
Trevor.
two ways to do it. One would be to connect these two meshes together with more vertices. However, that would slightly bloat our poly count, so I would try not to do that. What we can do, though, is do some trickery and try to do some normal map transfers. Vertex normal transfers to kind of get that looking a little smoother. So I'm just going to try out how it will look. Sometimes it doesn't work from the get-go. As I said last stream, it's really about a trial and error and trying to find creative solutions to technical problems, really. And sometimes you don't get it right on the first try. But something we can do is we take our, in this case, target mesh. Source mesh. And we take, with the shift click, the target mesh. So we will be transferring from to. That's how you can think of your selection. And then in the mesh tab, under transfer attributes, we have an option to transfer vertex normals. Don't need anything else. In this case, we will use world space sampling because these are different meshes that don't have anything in common. So we just want to transfer from world space. And we'll see, in that case, that kind of ruins our normals. So I don't think this will work in this case. I just want to try out something else before we... So if I have constricting, I'm going to wreck my normals for this experiment, but we will see how it turns out.
Well, we can always control Z our way out of it, right?
Exactly. As I said, I just wanna see what the best solution in this case would be.
I have one more question, Andy.
Yeah.
In the last stream, this bumper was a very nice shade of pink.
Yes.
What happened?
I nuked it. It's not coming back. The pink is gone.
You see what I got to put up with? I
pink
give
is
these
gone.
guys tips. I tell them how to make this look realistic. You know,
is gone.
how many guys use pink bumpers in real life? It's quite common, right, chat? Back me up here.
Once it's in the game, if it's in the game, you can change the truck paint to whatever color you like. So
You got to look at this mic after the stream, Benny. I think it's falling apart.
no, I don't think this will work. Okay, so yeah, I'll just undo, and I think we will just weld these two parts together because I'm not able to transfer the normals when I have this few vertices there. So yeah, we're just going to grab our multi-cut and start cutting. And the goal here is to just match where these two objects would intersect. Helps if I turn on the wireframe.
Now, does it sort of lock on to that intersection, or is it all eyeballing?
Typically, I'll just put it someplace because then I can always just snap it later. So I'm not too worried about the accuracy. It's more about getting the flow right. In this case, yeah, that will give us some trouble later, but we'll figure it out. And that's behaving strangely for some reason. There we go. So I'll just do that. Going to isolate my selection and delete these faces on the inside because we don't want them.
I've seen videos of guys using VR in real life to somehow model in a 3D space. Have you ever tried something like that?
Not me personally. I don't think it would be too terribly accurate because your hand motions, you think about like you're holding this heavy device and it's shaking. So
True.
I've seen them do more like stylized or abstract art in that. I think that would be really interesting.
Okay, yeah.
I think some people try to do sculpting in it. That might be cool. But still, I think the most accurate is if you have a touchpad and you just use a pen. That's probably the best option you got. Yeah. So
But you use a mouse
I
day
do.
to day,
I
yeah.
do. But because hard surface modeling is, it's not so, I don't know how to say it, but you don't need that much precision as when you're sculpting because everything you need to do, you can just snap
Right.
and just use guides and helper geometry to to help you through the process. So.
But we do have a few colleagues that use them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in the paint jobs.
I guess
they
it all
use
comes
them
down to
a lot
preference
more.
at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
What you're used to, what you've been using.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just preparing the cuts here to weld these two parts together. And just need to snap them. So that
3D models for stuff like animals, that's handled by the assets department.
Yeah. We have within the assets department a small subsection of character artists who do everything involving basically organic modeling. So they do pedestrians, they do animals, they do the animations as well. I think they fall under the technical department, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, in the vehicles department, we mainly do, of course, the player trucks, or we call them the hero trucks, along with the AI vehicles, vehicle props that the map makers will use, cargos,
Yeah.
paint jobs, which not modeling, but of course, we still handle that.
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff in the vehicle department. So as we can see here, I need to get my connections going. As you can see, it's just snapping vertices together. So now I'm missing one more here. Just gonna add it on the multi-cut.
Slow down.
It's just same thing I've been explaining.
Just doing it over and over.
Exactly. It's nothing too different. Because in this case, we need those connections. But now that we have them connected, we can even bevel that line. Because if you think about if it's welded together, it would be much
Some kind
smoother.
of, yeah.
So that's kind of the benefit of doing it this way, I suppose.
Okay.
Right. So now that I have them snapped how they should be, there is, with both of these selected under mesh, we can hit combine. And now they're one object when I click on them. As you can see, my soft edges have been destroyed, but I'm not worried about them now. I'll be fixing them later. Right now, we just want to do the topology correctly. So, yeah, but because we only combined them but didn't actually weld them together, if I double-click on a face, you can see they're still considered separate.
I see, okay.
That's because the vertices here on the connections, they're still on top of each other. So we can just grab everything, go under Edit Mesh, open the Merge tool, and here you can say I have 27 vertices selected, so that number should drop down to 16, which means that have been welded. And now when I double-click it, it's just one mesh.
Cool.
Yep. So now I'm just going to do a little bit of cleanup. I think I need this because if I, it's going
Maybe
to go there.
before you fix all your edges, I had a suggestion about the top of that pillar.
About here.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was thinking we should make it more the similar shape that we have to the bigger pillars in the middle.
Okay.
See how we have that kind of, and rather than a round shape, we have this more kind of hard edge?
Yeah, but this is still a blockout because we're going to be doing that later.
Right. But I mean the general shape, because this we have very rounded, but that we have more of the square tube look.
I guess.
So
we
I think it
can
would look.
iterate. No problem.
What do you think, chat?
I was just trying to stay true to the concept.
I mean,
It's
I
up to
think the
you.
concept is ever evolving.
That's at this point. At this point, it is. Okay.
You know, I'm just like a kid in a candy store here. Normally, I don't get to be sitting beside the 3D modeler as he's working on it, so I'm taking advantage of it while I can.
That's correct.
I did sort of do that with the LT, though. We spent a little bit of time together.
Yeah, and it was actually really helpful. Just being able to get feedback from someone real time on what I'm doing is really, really, really valuable. Okay, so just trying to figure out here what exactly I want to do. And if we soften that edge.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
we fixed that.
Nice.
We're going to be using our vertex normal tool later to flatten these out. Typically, I do that at the last step once everything is done, because you see from my iteration process, the normals tend to break a lot. So I typically leave that for when I'm happy with the results. So we can do that at the end. I just want to make sure that, see, some weirdness is happening here. I think that's because some edge is, yeah, this should be soft. That should be soft. There we go. That's fixed now.
Ish.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
We fixed those connections.
Dang.
But this kind of slightly increased our poly count. So every time you're welding two meshes together, you have to make new connections for them. So you get slightly higher triangle counts. But in this case, it doesn't really matter because my baseline rule is if it helps to elevate the look, I don't really think twice about it. I just do it. And then typically my technical director will come after 2 months after having inspected the model and ask me to reduce it. But sometimes we just ignore that. So I'm looking at this, and I kind of also want it beveled maybe because it might look more interesting, but we have some weirdness here that we need to take care of first. Yeah, so we are encountering one of our first major topological issues because we have this beveled edge going down in what should be a flat line, but maybe I'm thinking if I also, I wouldn't want to bevel that. I want it to stay like that. Just a small experiment here. This is what I love about these open-ended creative tasks, because I can just experiment and go back and forth, which is not something I get to do a lot during my current projects.
Yeah, like when you're
I'm
following
working
any kind of like CAD or scan or something, you're trying to make it like there's not a lot of freedom to kind of play with these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I could do something like that.
When was the last time you got to work on a project where you got to have this kind of freedom? Can you comment on that? Is it like if it's something that was released recently or?
Probably. Oh, the race car we did for Nebraska.
Oh, that's right. We have a prop race car that's sitting in front of a truck stop, right? There's two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we
that was
made
the
kind
last
of a generic late model race car, body on tube frame race car. So Andy was the master behind that. That's right. I remember coming into the office for the first time back in October 2023 and seeing you working on that. I was like,
exactly.
Race car.
Everybody loves race cars.
Oh, I'm a major NASCAR fan. I should bring in one of my many NASCAR fan hats one day.
Okay, so I think that's looking a little more interesting. I'll fix that later with the vertex normal because I mainly just want to bevel here. But this triangle is giving me issues. So typically when I'm beveling, I just get rid of these triangles and then... Actually, now we don't even need this one. Perfect. Can just push this slightly in. And now we can... see how that looks. I don't want to make the bevels too narrow because that will create those long stretched small triangles. So I kind of give it a little bit more, even though it may not be as realistic from a performance perspective. It's better. Yeah. But then here we'll need another line, which is actually perfect because we don't want this to be sharp. So yeah, I'll leave it something like that and then just do a bit of cleanup here. I want this line to connect like that. I want this to go here. As you can see, sometimes the bevels create a lot of mess. But that's fine. We'd always want to clean it up and triangulate it manually. So that's looking, I think, a bit nicer. We can just smooth it just to preview.
I think maybe it should be like a little wee bit smaller too.
Yeah, it should, but...
just want to ask Air Cruise in the Twitch chat, are you from Joplin? You mentioned that Jamie McMurray is from Joplin. I'm wondering if you're saying that because you're from Joplin as well? Because if so, I was going to ask you if you've been to the Guilty by Association truck show.
I'm just gonna preview soften these just to see how it looks from a distance. I think that's looking a little bit better than what we had before. Just getting some errors here, but we're gonna fix them. With
Yeah, but it's looking like really.
like it's welded together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
I'm digging that.
Yeah, those bevels really make the models pop. They really help to cement that realistic look to them. So I think welding them together in this case makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially after what you said, if they're actually welded together in reality, then it makes more sense to actually do that in the game as well. I think.
I'll be honest, there's not actually a bumper that exists exactly like this in real life.
Of course.
So we're kind of
improvising.
Yeah, it's a little bit of fantasy going on here, a little bit of a gamification, if you will. So Mark Verstappen is asking, bevels are usually one diagonal shape rather than completely actually rounded? Like when you put the bevel in and it kind of does this smoothing, what are we actually adding triangles when we do that?
Yeah,
smoothing?
we are. I'm just gonna demonstrate it quickly on this cube. This is a basic cube, as you can see. We have just singular edges here. Currently, I have 3 of them. If I grab them and bevel them, it will create from each edge 2 edges. But if I increase the segments, create more and more of them. And you can control. So you can see, even with bevels, we've managed to turn a cube into pretty much a sphere. So beveling is kind of like smoothing things out. It will always create this kind of rounded corner shape. And it helps when you're softening edges to get this kind of smooth effect, which would be more realistic, I would say, especially on a part like this.
Now, if you don't add that kind of bevel in before doing the softening, what will happen?
Yeah, so if we go back to our cube, just going to duplicate it. Let's assign the same material to both of them. So here's the identical objects. This one let's just soften this corner. So you can see, looks very strange, right? But if we bevel these 3 and then soften them, you see the difference. It's adding support, basically.
Okay.
To contain how the lighting is reflected.
Right.
So in this case, the light hits this vertex here in the corner and doesn't really know what to do.
Right.
So you get this kind of weird artifacting. But because there's more supporting geometry here, when the light hits this point, there's more information on how to reflect.
Now, in Maya, you can actually change where the direction of light is coming from too, right? Is that?
It's the lighting in Maya is just a preview.
Okay.
Pretty much. I think it's camera based. I'm not sure how exactly it works. But it does help a lot in visualizing how it will be in the game. But of course, we always want to check the final result in game and how that will look, because every engine has a different way of calculating lighting. So actually, do we even need that anymore? Probably don't. So we can. I think I'll just. This will create kind of a long triangle, but at this point, I don't think it matters much. I think it's better in this case. And now I just want to make sure. Okay. I can bring this up a little. Or just in world space, perhaps. Just want to get a little bit of a curve going, because that will help with the lighting, basically.
Okay.
Just get rid of that. And if we smooth it, should look better. We're getting artifacts everywhere, but we'll fix them later.
Why do most 3D modeling artists in games usually prefer to use triangles rather than quads in their models?
Actually, we prefer to use quads, because if I have quads and if I have a multi-cut, as you can see, I think is a perfect demonstration for it. See, we have quads here. And if I get a multi-cut and if I hold control, it will only create an edge loop on the quads. As soon as it meets a triangle or an n-gon, it will stop. So it's actually better to work with quads and then triangulate later. But because I'm creating a very basic game model, I like to just triangulate on the go. So in this case, but if I'm working on something more complex, if I'm especially using a subdivision workflow, I always keep things in quads because it just helps me do my job much easier.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's fine there. I think that's also fine there. Now we can just start fixing these normals. I think I'll just unlock everything and do it from scratch. Okay. And maybe we can just... harden all these edges. So as you can see on the inside, I prefer to keep the edges hardened because the inside of the bumper is lower poly because I don't want detail there. So I'm not adding bevels here. And in the case where I'm not adding bevels, precisely because of what I demonstrated on the cube, it's better to keep those edges hardened.
Yeah, if it's something the player's never going to see, we're not going to waste
Exactly.
computing power.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, now I'm just going to soften some edges and then we can use our trusted vertex normal copy tool again. I just want to check first if everything is softened. It's not.
Well, we're going to mess with that soon anyways, right?
Oh yeah. I'm going to be fixing all that later. I think for the time being, I'll just delete these because they're getting in my way. It's easier to work with an n-gon in this case because I can just do a simple selection like that instead of selecting a million faces there. But I'm going to be fixing that in the end. Right. So as you can see, we have a lot of artifacting in the shading happening, especially this section here. So again, I'll go to my Euro Trucks tab, hit the artist tools, and we will get our vertex normal copy. And this thing is a lifesaver. So I'll just select everything I want flattened and just click faces to perimeter. And that issue is gone. It's like magic. I love that thing. So we're going to do the same for this top section. Actually, we're going to do it for the whole thing because we fused it. So now it's one giant mesh. Just want to make sure that when it goes here, I think this should be a part of it as well. It will ruin this one, but I'll fix that manually later. Actually, maybe we don't have to go there. I think this should do it. Yeah. Okay. That's very strange. Oh, because I think we also need it here. That was very weird. Sometimes things behave strange, but you click some things a bunch of times and they resolve.
Well, there you go. Some life advice from Andy. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just click a bunch of things and it gets resolved.
Exactly. So if at first you don't succeed, just try again. I
just
think
keep
that's-
clicking, yeah.
Just keep clicking, yeah. Okay. I think some of my unlocks didn't go through, so we'll have to...
Andy, have you ever made any mods for ATS or ETS or any other game?
Mods, no, but I used to love working in like engine editors or map editors.
Did you ever do any map editing for ETS too?
Not for ETS, but if you know Hunting Unlimited,
Yeah.
it's also a game by SES.
Yeah.
It had a scenario editor, and me and my buddies after school would go to my house and create custom scenarios.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
And then 15 years later, or even more than that, I'm here.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy when you think about that. Like, I started playing, like, 18 Wheels of Steel when I was, like... I remember going to a business depot, and they had, like, those little shelves by the checkout.
Yeah.
And there was 18 Wheels of Steel, a hard truck 18 Wheels of Steel on the shelf, and I just grabbed that up. Or was it 18 Wheels of Steel Across America?
Yeah, that's also. I also played that game as a kid. It's one of the first ones.
And now here I am, in front of
It's
all you fine
crazy
people.
how life works
Yeah.
that way. Okay, so something's horribly wrong with my normal, so I'm just gonna take a few minutes to fix that. Okay. So when I undo a bunch of times, things break. Okay. Can we do it at the bottom as well? How about you? Did you ever dabble in modding?
I did with a game called Rigs of Rods, which was a very old-timey open source physics game. I started with modding on it, but it was a pretty easy game to mod. It was like a very, very basic. You basically just built like basic skeletons of the truck, like shape out, and you could just add submesh in between, so you didn't have to actually like 3D model anything. There was no 3D meshes. So it was quite easy and quite simple. I did a little bit with that. And then with American Truck Simulator, I got into modding engines and transmissions and stuff like that. Before I joined, I helped my friend make an electric truck before we had any support for that kind of thing. It was very hacked, had to do things a certain way to actually make it work in game, but we kind of made it work. It was kind of fun. It was a lot of fun actually to mess with.
I have to restart my Maya because something's gone horribly wrong.
No.
No, I just restarted really quick. It's not a problem.
You did that on purpose.
I didn't. My save button was gone for some reason. There we go.
I can't believe
Okay,
this.
now it's back.
Okay.
Yeah, something went wrong there. I don't know what happened, but okay. So I finally fixed most of my normal issues after a few tries. Thank you for bearing with me. I just have to soften some things, and then we can move on to the other part. I'll leave this edge hardened because otherwise it will create shading issues. So sometimes I make decisions on what to soften and what to keep hardened based on what the model needs.
To answer Mark Verstappen in the chat, my electric truck was basically a diesel engine that just got very, 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 very good fuel mileage. It was not at all I'm not nearly skilled enough to actually like do actual programming to make it work properly. It was just totally hacked.
Okay. So I would say this part is done. It's looking a lot better.
Now we got to do it for the ones in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
Start right over. Not right over, but you know what I mean.
I know.
Yeah, from the process.
Exactly. But as you can see, it's just the same thing over and over again.
That looks good, yeah.
Yeah. We can optimize this a little more, I think. I don't think this is necessary anymore.
Oh, here at SES Software, we love optimization.
Yeah, so I just get rid of an extra edge. And I would typically manually triangulate this, but I'm just not going to waste the
Well, we're going to
time
fix
on
that
stream.
anyway, so don't even...
Yeah, exactly. I'm not going to... But it's the same process I've shown. I just grab my multi-cut and start connecting dots together. Yeah, so I'm really digging that bevel here now.
Yeah, it's looking good.
It's looking good, yeah. So
The whole thing's looking good, man. It's
yeah, I think
really
welding them together was definitely the right call.
oh yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
so now we can move on
For
to
sure.
this part. And it's basically the same process, just a few bevels, a bunch of details. I think this part will be easier. It's not supposed to be hollowed out on the inside, right? It's more like
No, it'd be hollow.
it would be.
It would be like square tube, yeah.
So we should get rid of these faces. Right?
Oh, sorry. Not like that.
Okay.
It could be, actually.
Would that make sense?
It would. It would definitely probably sacrifice some strength,
Okay.
though. So I would imagine they would keep it. I imagine they would square it off. the hypothetical company that manufactured this bumper. So yeah, keep it solid.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
keep it solid.
Artie suggested that we brand this bumper somehow.
Okay,
So
you
maybe
can think about
we have to
it
combine your initial, Stenda's initial, and my initial to make some kind of fictional company.
MAS or SAM.
Sam
bumpers. Or mass. I don't know. It's kind of uninspired though.
Well, we can think of something better.
Yeah. While I'm detailing this, you can think about it.
Mark, manual, gearbox, or auto? Come on.
Manual.
Come on. What do I look like?
Manual. It's more fun.
We all know the answer to that already.
It's more fun.
Andy, what is the most difficult model you've ever made?
Ooh, I can't say anything about what I'm currently working on, but outside of work, while I was still busy on my grind getting better at modeling, I was doing a model of a Rafale fighter jet.
Oh,
It's a French fighter jet, and it has the air intakes right under the cockpit, which kind of flow right into the fuselage that connect directly to the wings.
okay.
And just connecting all the topology there made me lose my mind. But it taught me many, many valuable lessons. So I would say it's probably one of the most difficult models I've made, but the end result was really satisfying. And
You could have picked the Avro Aero, a good Canadian-made jet.
well,
That's
I
fine.
would
It's fine, Andy,
say
it's fine.
if you're trying to get better at modeling, of course, don't dive right into the most difficult things you can think about. But after a while, try to get out of your comfort zone more and more. And I would highly recommend modeling airplanes or helicopters because they're hard surface, but they're also very organic in their shapes. So
I think I could do a B-52 bomber.
B-52 would be easy.
Yeah.
But
That's the really like,
Yeah.
Andy,
Yep.
what would you recommend somebody start with? If they wanted to start making something,
mm-hmm.
what is a good, like not necessarily truck related, what is a good kind of shape or kind of model to start with?
Like we're talking about complete beginner?
Yeah, like you've never modeled anything before.
Something super simple like a glass or a cup or
So really just take inspiration from what's around you and try
something
to,
very, very simple, just so you understand the space and the software and what the buttons do and the proper topological standards on something simple that doesn't have a million connections that you need to keep track of. So start easy, but as you're getting better and better, I would say like you will hit a wall one day and really want to improve, but at that point I would say like pick something super difficult and just keep grinding, because those kinds of models will teach you a lot. You will suffer, but it will be for a good cause. Yeah. Anyways, I've added a little bit more of a curve here because you remember we only had one edge that was slightly dented. I just beveled it just to get a more natural looking curve there.
yes.
This part now should be quite easy to do. So from what I can see, we have a strong bevel here at the top, and we have a slightly softer one here at the bottom. So if I grab this whole thing and do it at once, it wouldn't really give us the result we're looking after.
Right.
So we can do them one by one. And also I can see that it's kind of splitting more. So in the back, it should be wider. And as it comes down, it should be softer. But we can...
I don't think we have to get too
Okay.
scientific with it. I think we can keep
Fair
it a fairly simple shape.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll just do 2 segments, I think. Or
Mark
maybe more.
Verstappen is saying you probably don't want to do a circular shape to start, but the circles is actually a tool to make cylinders, right?
I mean,
Sort of.
circular shapes aren't that difficult. It depends, of course, what you're doing. The biggest issue is when you have a curved surface with a lot of cuts in it. So maybe there's something on the truck that I can demonstrate. Not really. It's quite flat, this one. But yeah, that's why imagine working on a
Like,
airplane
I
fuselage.
imagine
that would be
the top of the sleeper.
yeah,
kinda
I
right
guess
there,
something
yeah.
like that, right? Because you
Where
have
it comes into the corner there.
yeah, you have this curved surface, and at the same time, there's a cut for the window. So trying to figure out this type of connections and topology it's what's going to turn you into a better artist.
It's actually cool to see this wireframe because we can see exactly how
Yeah,
the sleeper
how
was
it
modeled.
made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't necessarily agree with some of the decisions made here, but
I hope our colleague isn't watching.
it's a different topic. Yeah, so just beveling this top edge now, just to get the shape right. So we got that going. Definitely want to align this a little more, I think so.
Actually, funny thing, the old W900 and the new W900, there was definitely some changes in the model, but overall, I don't think it really changed that much. Like even with the LT, you didn't do a full rework of the cab, did you?
No, I just it was more of a rework for visual standards
Right.
because it was an older model, and when we were just doing the S13 parts, we were looking at the interior, and it just didn't look right compared to what we're doing now. So that was basically the whole rework on the interiors, added as an extra. It was never meant to be part of the original updates.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that we ended up doing on that truck wasn't supposed to be a part
It turned
of.
from a 3-month job into almost a year.
Yeah. Hey, it turned out awesome though.
Yeah, I'm really happy with the result of that.
Yeah.
I think the community was quite positive about the...
I remember having a conversation with you about like where do we stop? Because we were like, oh, we could add this, we could add that, we could add this. We were like, well,
Yeah,
okay, we gotta
exactly.
settle down. We got
slow
other
down.
projects going on here. Because it's easy. I mean, to keep going. Like someone mentioned, like flat top for the Kenworth WAN, and it's like, it would be amazing to be able to add every sleeper and every accessory. But if any of you guys have ever seen an actual spec book for a truck, it's not like going in and ordering like a pickup truck where you choose from like, 3 motor choices and maybe like 5 or 6 trims and packages, and then just some accessories. It is a book this big of all the possible options, and I don't think there's a number in the world you could calculate all the different combinations you could do, and it's not feasible. It's not possible. So we got to draw a line in the sand somewhere. It's a difficult decision every time, though.
Exactly.
I will say that.
Exactly.
I mean, even our guys, like, sometimes we got to kind of tell them, all right, whoa, it's time to settle down. Like they want to do more even than what we initially set out on. But
especially when you get into it, and it's like, oh, adding this would be cool, adding
Yeah.
that would be cool, and then you think about, well, what about the timeline?
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah. Sometimes it's sadly not feasible to do everything, which is a shame, but we have to prioritize. But we're doing more and more, so I think it's going better and better in our department in terms of the projects we're working on and the outputs. We have a lot of things in the pipeline that we can't talk about. But yeah, time will tell.
Can you imagine if we talked about it? Oh, man.
It'll be fun.
There'd be security here in no time.
There should
We would
be
be
a
escorted
teaser
out
coming
of-
up in the future, though, about stuff we're working on.
Are you allowed to say that?
I don't know.
Yo.
I mean, that could be anything, right?
I was waiting for Namiro to bust through that door.
Yeah, what do you say?
I had nothing to do with that, boss. It's him.
It's this guy right here. Yeah, just doing some more bevels. Pretty much the same old, same old.
Now, do you think we should do a bevel on the back edge of this particular one, since you will be able to see it from more
Yeah, we
angles?
probably should.
Yeah.
Probably should. I'm just trying to align some things. There we go.
Mohegan, one of our forum moderators, is suggesting that we use Pig Latin to talk about the teaser, but I would highly recommend against that.
Yeah. No, we're not going to say anything more, but
No,
this stuff is in the works.
I like my
That's
job. I don't want to get fired. Oh, yeah, Andy the Kenworth guy. I almost bought a truck from him. I was going to spec a 2021 W900 flat glass with the 42-inch flat top, the modular one. We were going to do like really old school style. And in the end, I couldn't wait. At the time, it was going to be like a year for delivery on the truck. So I ended up going with a local one that was available in Canada. That's when I got my W990, actually. But I really wanted that flat glass. Oh, that would have been cool. But Andy was a super cool guy to work with, really knowledgeable about Kenworth trucks.
talking
still-
about a different.
YouTuber.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should have. Yeah, you're Andy as well. Hey Andy,
Yeah, hello.
but you're not the
No,
Kenworth
not the
guy. You're the
Kenworth guy, no.
international guy. So yeah, but yeah, Andy is this. He works at a truck dealership in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually use his videos for like a lot of references and stuff like that.
Not too happy with this spell. I think it just needs one more cut. Yeah. If I add another cut here, put it down the middle. And now once we've added it here, there's a great feature. If you go to your edit mesh, just edit edge flow, it will automatically, it doesn't do it on this vertex though, for some reason. But as you can see, it kind of averages the position, but I think in this case, I'll just do it manually because Maya is not being helpful. So I'll just give it a little bit more of a rounded corner.
That'll just help it smooth it out even more when you go to softening.
No, it's more about the distance.
Oh, okay.
Because without it, it was looking a little sharp. Yeah, so now we can just smooth that whole part out.
I don't know anything about the Hori wheel giveaway. That's Namiro's department. I'm not too sure, but I would be anticipating that because I'm really happy with the Hori wheel. I've got one here in the office, one of the samples, and it is top. Very nice. Mark, what was the first truck you had influence in? And I can say the second, I think for sure, was the International. I think we worked on that when I was pretty early here at the company. But the first was actually the Mac Pinnacle. During the research phase, I was asked to give a little bit of input on it before I even started SCS, but they knew I was coming. We were already doing the paperwork and all that, so I got to kind of just give very, very little bit. Obviously, they couldn't give me all the information they had, because I wasn't officially an employee. But I gave a little bit of input, but I mean, the guys did a awesome job on it, even without me. Marak worked on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He did an awesome job.
That was quite fast. So same question, would we want to connect these two parts? Or I think we can kind of keep this like that. Would be maybe more interesting if it's not the same as the other part.
Chat, what do you think?
It's kind of like a visible line there. I think that looks cooler because it doesn't break the flow.
Alex Roska is asking that you talk with more energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah, I'm trying to focus on too many things at once. My bad. It's not as easy as it looks.
I know we have
from
very
the
soothing
outside.
voices here at SCS
Yeah.
Software.
Okay, so for some reason when I use our internal tools here, it breaks the scene. But
Oh.
I can just save as every time I want to save. So
Wait, which tool broke the scene?
the vertex normal copy tool.
Ah,
That's why we started it last time.
that's not
But
good.
I can live with it. Anyways, now I want to give these cylinders a little bit more of a rounded shape as well because I want them to follow this curve. Wouldn't you agree? It will look better if these were following or no.
Maybe
if they were
not
slightly
following
bent.
exactly, but maybe slanted more to match. I would say the chat is thinking that we should smooth it out, though the
Okay.
two uprights in the middle.
Mhm.
I think.
Okay.
Chat, your responses? YouTube chat, we're watching you too. Just because we don't answer your questions about ambiguous things that don't relate to the stream that we can't answer because of NDAs doesn't mean we're not paying attention.
Exactly. You read that like one of the disclaimers on a commercial.
Yeah, I didn't want to make too big a deal about it. Yeah, Joe Alex is saying it should match.
It should match, okay. So, again, we have to do the same thing we did for this part, which is just fusing them together, which means I'll have to redo the normals on that part again. But that's fine. So, I think let's just snap it like that. It should come flush with this edge, correct?
Jake is seeing keep it as is, but Jake, you were outvoted by the people in the Twitch chat. I'm sorry.
That's great news for me. fix that later. Okay. Should have done a stronger bevel on this. I think we can get away. If I go to component mode, will this work? Just trying some things out. Just bear with me for a second. I'm just trying to align these points together. Yeah, that should work. Okay. So this transform constraint that I'm using, it basically won't allow me to move the vertices in any other direction except the edges that are surrounding it. So if I try to move this one up, you see it follows the already existing line. So it's really convenient for when you want to maintain your what's the word? Forgetting how to speak, but
Symmetry?
Yeah, not symmetry. Topology. Topology.
That's a good word.
That's a good one. Yeah. So this process again is the same what I did for the side pillars. We just want to align things in a way that will help us to. I guess we don't have this one here, so I'll just get rid of it.
Yeah, Jake, for this particular bumper, we're going for more of our own sort of style. This is a SCS creation. Shout out to Stenda, and shout out to me, and shout out to Andy. This is our design, so we can do whatever we want.
Exactly.
But of course, you guys are here. You have valid feedback. Like I said, the guys in the Twitch chat outvoted you. So, sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if we look at the original one that we have as a reference layer, maybe we could just take this one and put it here so I can hide it. Let's just unlock it. I think, yeah, as you can see, it's made from separate intersecting parts.
Oh.
So they didn't actually fuse it together. But
I think for the way that bumper is built, that's
Exactly.
actually the kind of the better way to do
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it is more like pieced together. And this one is maybe more like true to life and realistic style
Yeah.
bumper, right?
yeah,
The one we're doing is a little more high fantasy.
exactly.
Yeah. Lights we will definitely get to. We have to add in something to this computer because this is not a computer normally used for modeling.
Yeah, you have to install a little more software on it.
Yeah, so when we get to that point, we will definitely be doing some stuff with lights for sure. I mean, come on. We got to put some lights on there.
I was thinking maybe we could do a variant with fog lights too. That would look cool on the side.
Fog lights?
Like a variant of it.
Hmm.
We can have multiple iterations of the same
Okay,
bumper, you know?
okay.
So like something here, just to keep it more interesting, I think.
That's something you see like up in Canada. They have all those. We don't call them fog lights, though. We call them driving lights or something stupid. I don't know. I've never had one of them bumpers on my truck. But in the future, I will definitely put one on because of past things. But yeah, those guys up north, you know, they run out into the middle of nowhere and there's no traffic lights and not traffic lights, street lights. So they got all kinds of extra lights across the bull bar there to light up the road in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
Will we get to see how to put it in game? Probably not necessarily because we got to do like a bunch of stuff with like def files and stuff like that.
Well, we can set up the scene hierarchy at least. That's quite simple to do.
Okay.
But once we have everything ready, for now, we don't need to worry about that.
We'll probably model some basic shape for the bracket, but it definitely won't be any kind of detail because unless you're flying in there with the dev cam, which as a non-developer you should be doing, but I know we all do it. Unless you're flying in there with the dev cam, you're not going to see it. So, how often do you run in Canada, Andy?
How often do what?
How often do you run in Canada? No, I'm just kidding. That was for me. When I was a truck driver, I drove from the Toronto area. I've done a handful of runs across the provinces over the years, more than a handful, but I was never like a Canada-only trucker. I always did exclusively to the U.S., like most of the time. So even when I ran out to Western Canada, I would drop down to the U.S. at some point. So, yeah, we refer to ourselves as cross-border truck drivers. How the bumper is going to be mounted on the truck. Oh, we already answered that question.
Oh, yeah, we have to think about that as well.
Yeah, we'll just do like some basic geometry back there to
Okay.
simulate like the plate that would hook up to the
Okay.
mount there.
Should be good.
Has it ever happened that after the release, imperfections were discovered in the truck model itself?
Oh yeah, tons of times. That's why we have a QA department for. And we typically have a process where once you're finished with the model and the textures and everything, it's implemented in the game. We send it out to QA to double check it, but sometimes it happens that even after that's done and it's released, things are caught late.
Mhm.
We just do our best to fix everything. So
Yeah, sometimes like of course
I
you know,
think it's normal in game development.
yeah, and sometimes the fixes don't always come out right away. Sometimes we got to wait
Yeah.
till the next update or something like that because you know it's not nice to log in to your game and then you got some download to do or something like that, right? We
Yeah,
try to
exactly.
spread them out a little bit.
And it's also sometimes it's worrying if issue is caught super late and people already have a save game with a certain truck. Actually fixing problems like that is very difficult because it requires our programmers to create what is known as a save patch.
Yep.
And that can be quite difficult depending on the severity of the issues. So sometimes we gauge and decide whether certain issues are worth fixing ASAP or it's better to give it some time and fix it in a larger update. So, for example, on the LT, there were a lot of old bugs that were left behind that we fixed when we were rolling that update out because it just made more sense in this case.
I think we answered this already, but Andy, refresh my mind. In all your experience you had, which project is your favorite and why? Oh no, we did answer this.
Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah, it's Andy's current project, which is
Which is
super secret.
yeah. So we'll see.
Everything's super secret until it's announced.
Exactly.
uh,
We'll get to talk about it eventually.
How many people work at SCS as modelers versus programmers? I don't know the exact numbers, but it's definitely far more modelers.
I think in assets there's 60 people.
Really?
No, that's too much. I don't know. I know in vehicles it's about 40 of us.
Yeah.
So I think assets make sense. I think they're counting the technical department. in
Oh,
that
okay,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
So then it makes sense that it's
True,
60. All right.
Do you do anything for ETS2?
I do a lot of things for both games.
Hmm.
Yeah. I plug a lot of gaps as well here and there when there's some urgent things that need to be done when no one else can do them. What?
Can you do it?
Oh.
I'll look into it. I'm just
Okay.
talking to Benny off screen here. He's
Yeah.
reminding me to do my job. Thanks, Benny. I appreciate you. What is the most expensive load I've ever hauled? Andy, do you know?
No idea.
Yeah, me neither. We actually generally don't really know the values. Like they're on the customs invoice, but I'll be honest, I don't really check. I'm more interested in how much I'm getting paid versus how much the load is worth. But
a
I've
good
hauled
attitude.
I've hauled some military stuff, which I can talk about it, but I'm not going to, just in case. Which I imagine is like really high value, just because typically military stuff is always valued higher than it really is worth. But other than that, I really don't know. I remember one time I hauled one 5,000 pound bundle of steel. Normally I haul 45,000 pounds worth of steel. Just one bundle of steel, 5,000 pounds. I hauled that all the way to Laredo, Texas from Toronto. So that was definitely the cheapest load I hauled. Yeah, a lot of things get tagged, like the doors get sealed with some kind of little tag so they know the load wasn't tampered with. But a lot of times, you get to install the tag yourself. So usually they let you check the load and then you install the tag. Unless it's a preloaded trailer that's been sitting in a yard, then of course, you don't get to check. Oh, here's one. Artie says, was there ever a model that you really hated and wanted to throw your PC out the window because of it?
Yeah.
Not an SCS model, of course.
Many times. Well, not too many times, but even sometimes in the same project, it'll start out great. I'm loving it. And then the more I have to look at it, the sicker I get of it sometimes. But it depends on what exactly the job entails. Because sometimes there's really annoying small details you have to do that you can't find good references for. So you kind of have to imagine how it would look. It depends. I think it's a normal part of life to sometimes be sick of even what you love. But yeah, it doesn't last too long. Okay.
Yeah, there's been times I wanted to throw my Peterbilt out the window, if I'm honest.
Exactly.
If only there was a window big enough.
Okay. So I've connected it. Done the same bevels. It's looking nice. All right, now we have to fix our normals again. Because when we were merging things together, things were getting unlocked. So yeah, I'll just quickly do that again. Yeah, just flatten these because they really give the look a more grounded feel. And I think that should be it. Yeah, broke some things in the back, but that's okay. Just double check everything is fine. Maybe we can minimize this because I don't really need it anymore. It's just getting in my way. Okay. Yeah, this should be hardened. Yes. Unlock that. Unlock that. You see now we have some issue here. We have to fix this. You don't want lingering vertices like that. Always double check where things are going. Okay. And there we go. I think we can call it here.
Keep going.
Keep going?
I'm trying to find someone to raid.
All right. I'll just do one last thing with these because I don't like how straight they are. I would prefer them if they're bent. So we can
Chat, do you have anyone you recommend for us to raid?
can do it easily like this.
Let me know.
All right. I'm not going to slow down for this section.
Just speed run it.
Yeah, exactly.
Send it. They can watch it at 0.25 times speed.
Kind of like that. What happened there? Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I like that a lot better.
I'm still working here. Uh,
Okay, maybe I could answer some questions in the meantime.
So, actually, I think I found someone.
Is that squared polygon under a truck
Nope.
cab? Are you talking about this? That's just the grid by default.
What'd they say?
No, I think someone was asking about it. It's not a polygon, it's the grid. If we go to...
Oh, yeah. What about those bars? We were going to pull them out in the bottom, right?
Which ones?
The vertical bars? We were going to pull them out more towards the bottom?
Yeah, I already did this.
You did that?
I
Oh,
added
dang,
a curve
looking
on it.
good.
I like that better. It's kind of flowing nicely with it.
I need a mouse for this laptop.
It's all one connected shape, which is not the most ideal, but we can live with it. It really helps to solidify the look of it being welded together. Kind of like how that turned out, actually. Andy, do you handle the materials as well? Yes, I do, along with the textures as well. So I think maybe in the upcoming episode, we'll start that. I think what's left over is we can just do the detail mesh on the lights, and we can start texturing it, and show you how that process works. You also have to find me some references on how it connects to the chassis.
Yeah, absolutely. Some brackets.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I found somebody to raid. Let's get that started. Oh my God.
Ignore that.
What'd you do?
I had these clipping intersections here, but I can fix that. We can actually just go into our side view, grab a multi-cut, and we just cut, and we'll delete that.
Yeah.
And now it's fixed. There we go. Easy.
Sorry I've been so quiet, chat. I've just been struggling here,
Yeah, it's not easy
doing Mark things.
to do many things at the same time.
Yeah. So where are we at? What have I missed? Chat, how you doing? How's things?
Finished the main bumper.
Oh, yeah.
We
Joe
just need
has
to
a good
deploy.
point. We might need to import the chassis to see how we will fit
Yeah,
the bracket.
true. I'll do that for the next one.
Okay. Where does the license plate go on this? Well, that is great because Andy is going to have to model a piano hinge, and I'm looking very forward to that because he doesn't know what it is. So I'll get references for that as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So chat, we are getting ready to end the stream. I believe Benny right now is setting up our raid. Has he set it up? There it is. So chat, thank you so much for joining us today on episode 3.
This was 3, yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Episode 3 of our 3D modeling streams, where we are working on bringing a moose bumper / roo bumper / grill guard to life. Andy, thank you so much for your knowledge and experience
Thanks
and
for
sharing it
having
with
me.
us. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, chat, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to stay tuned to our socials and our SES blog for all of the latest up-to-date information about everything new coming to American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator. Benny, thank you as always. Good man. So we will catch you. We got a couple more streams coming this week, I think. So yeah, stay tuned, and there should be some more fun streams on the way. And we'll see you guys next time. Today we are going to go forward and raid the Newcastle gamer, who's currently playing Euro Truck or American Truck. American Truck. He's playing American Truck Simulator. So remember when you head over there that you're representing the best community ever. So spread love and spread joy, and remember not to be any kind of negative Nancy, and go show them some love. We'll see you guys on the next stream. Take care.
Bye-bye.